Welcome back, you lovely people, to Callan on Cars. And everybody out there always asks me, Paul, find us some stuff on the channel that we can buy. It doesn't cost a huge amount of money. That might make a few quid. It's going to be a lot of fun to drive and nice to look at. And I think I found that for you today. If you're thinking about a retro style Roadster, the obvious choice is the Mazda MX-5, and they are absolutely brilliant. But what about this instead? What about BMW's 1990s gem, also retro styled, the BMW Z3? Narrow body, wide body, a selection of great engines, and of course good enough for James Bond himself. Buckle up, we're going to have a little look at what I think is the next best sports car and why you should buy one while the prices are still quite sensible. Now, whichever one you go for, I think they're all particularly handsome machines, but for me, you know my obsession with wide arches and wide body kits and all that kind of stuff. It's the wide arch, the wide body on the 2.8 and the 3 litre that really does look the part. They just have a little bit more chunk for me. And I think this one in silver, with the factory hardtop, with the lowered suspension, and with the Phaco Z wheels, absolutely hangs together. I just think it's a smashing looking thing. What did I pay for this car? The grand total of £3,300. With the dents and scratches that you see, they were thrown in. With the individual interior, I just think that's a mind-blowing bargain, given the performance on offer. And let's talk about the power on offer, shall we? This is the 2.8, about 190 horsepower, this one. BMW's beautiful, silky smooth straight six. It's the sweet spot. It really is a little bit of everything. It is fast enough to bowl it along. It's a lot more power than an MX-5. It makes even nicer noises than an MX-5. It's situated very far back, so the balance is really good. If you look, most of the mass of the engine is pretty much behind the suspension turret line here, and it's almost under the dash at the back. And of course, because it is an E36, E46 engine, the service parts are buttons. Really is a lot of things, this car. But for a relatively small production car, the amount of design details on this are really phenomenal. Things like this clamshell bonnet are an expensive thing to do when you go over the edges and returns. Makes it a very expensive, very large pressing. And everywhere you look on the car, you see things that make you think this was a project that they were clearly caring about. And because they could use all of the car parts from the parts bin straight off the shelf, it meant they had a little bit more budget to play about with the more exciting stuff. So that, of course, begs the question, could I daily drive this car? Is it practical? Could I take it to the co-op, pick up my weekly shop, go on holiday with it, go for a week away in it? Well, I think you could, because the boot's actually flipping enormous. If you look at the standard size co-op bag, because of course, if you're driving around in a £3,300 car, shopping at the co-op is about where you're at. I have no problem with that. You get 6 or 7 enormous co-op bags. You get a full-size, enormous suitcase in there. These are practical little cars. 2-seaters, of course, but you've got decent luggage space. And the other thing you're getting with the Z3, of course, is that legendary 1990s BMW cabin quality. This is particularly lovely, this one as well, because this one's had put into it, I think, retrospectively, an individual interior. So you get this non-more 90s burgundy leather, sport seats, you've got the burgundy inlays on the door, you've got the purple carpets. It just screams period. I absolutely love it. But everything's chunky, the plastics are nice, they're thick, the leather's good, it's worn beautifully. 30-year-old car, still looks fantastic. Everything's soft and tactile. We had a lot to learn from BMW in the 1990s. And to me, this is the pinnacle, the zenith of what they were doing at the time. It just makes it a really great little car that's still incredibly usable. The Z3 project was started in 91, finalised in 92, and production actually started in 95 in a factory in South Carolina, the first BMW to be made outside of Germany. All in all, almost 300,000 units were made, with 279,000 being Roadsters and only 17,815 being coupes. And although it was just a shortened E36 platform underneath, that didn't mean it wasn't good enough for Britain's favourite spy, who in a rare moment in the 1995 GoldenEye film swapped his Aston Martin DB5 for this rather lovely narrow body. Engines ranged from 1.8 all the way up to 3 litres, and of course then there were the Z3M versions, which were an awful lot quicker. But on the subject of Pierce Brosnan, back to me. So, what's it like to drive? Well, the first thing you might be impressed and surprised by is the fact that me at 6'4", and let's say well made, fits in here. And it fits in rather well, actually. There's enough room under the pedals, if you've got long legs like I have, to actually get your feet under the pedals in between gear changes. If you're on the motorway, it's not going to fatigue you too much. And it's actually quite spacious. I'm tucked in here. It's not the most amount of room I've ever had, but I don't also feel like I'm actually stuffed into it. Put it this way, I've got more room in this than I would have in, say, a Defender. So it's a car you can do a lot of miles on, even if you're big. The other thing I would say, looking through this mirror here, if you can get a wide body, you just get that beautiful, sexy hip shape. So when you're driving along, I do like driving a car with a wide body or a wide arch. And when you look in your mirror, whatever it is, Porsche 911, Ferrari Testarossa, and you look out there, even Subaru 22B, you just see the arch. This has the arch. And it's the cheapest of all of those cars I've mentioned by a long way. Now you might hear some fidgeting in the background. That's because I do have the seat all the way back. So the back of the seat is actually rubbing on the bar. Now I'm sure at some point I might do something about that. But it's all right, just little things. You know, sports cars make noises. They're not supposed to be whisper quiet. That's what luxury saloons are for. Now the drive, the dynamic is going to be absolutely immediately apparent to anyone who's ever driven an E36 3 Series. But it's shorter, it's nippier. It feels like it's got a bit more dartiness to it, which I absolutely love. It gives you everything you love about BMWs, particularly that fabulous straight six engine and that noise. It's just drop a cog. And it sounds amazing, this one, because it's got a sports exhaust on. It's just really involving. Also as well, the suspension setup on this particular car, as you can see, it's got big wheels, those Faco Zs. It's quite low, but despite all of those things, rides really quite well. It thumps a little bit over potholes, and my word, there are a few of those around at the moment, aren't there? But surprisingly compliant, surprisingly nice, and just very, very easy to drive. I love an MX-5, but to me, these just feel a little bit more boisterous. Dare I say, a little bit more hairy-chested, a bit more manly than the MX-5. Not that I don't love an MX-5, but this feels more like the kind of car I would want. I've made another video, and I seem to be getting slightly obsessed with 90s cars at the moment, but it's not just me, it's the market. The market is obsessed with 90s cars because they are the most usable of all classic cars. You're getting something that not everybody has that you can use. Now, this car would have had from the factory an airbag steering wheel. The previous owner has taken it off. I happen to think that's a pretty cool addition. This is a much nicer wheel, this M wheel, than the one that was on there, big chunky airbag thing. If you're worried about safety, you could put that back on there. But 90s cars, I always think of the sweet spot in terms of dash design. You've got really clear analog gauges. You've got a single DIN stereo, lovely twisty button heater controls, and just all the things you need. 2 electric window switches, job's a good one. And you've noticed this one as well has a hardtop. It's one of the reasons I wanted to buy the car at auction. The hardtop to me makes a huge difference to the usability and the practicality of the car. Obviously makes it more awkward to take off. We do want to get this one off for the spring so we can actually use the car as a convertible. It makes it much more cozy inside. It's much quieter inside as well. And don't forget, the hardtop actually makes it stiffer. The hardtop will actually add structural integrity. There's not a huge amount of scuttle shake on this car with the hardtop off. But having it on makes it much, much nicer to drive. It's a little bit dark in here, you know, black interior, black headlining, but I think the benefits of the hardtop, particularly aesthetically, massively outweigh any downsides. What I think BMW were particularly clever at with this car is giving you the looks of a classic Roadster with the modernity and the parts bin swap over, as we've said before, of these E36, E46, E30 bits, making it really easy to run, really cheap and easy to maintain. And super involving. The standard car is really good, but if you do what this car's had done to it, which is to change the geometry, lower the suspension, just sharpen things up a little bit, they're utterly phenomenal. They're really great cars, and for the money they cost, which is akin to an MX-5, why would you not? Like I've said, I love an MX-5, but they don't sound like that. Straight sixes, I think, inherently are just wonderful engines to drive behind. Because of their inherent balance, they do make a wonderful noise as well. The manual gearbox is really nice. You can get any of the E36, E46 quick shift swap onto these as well if you want to do that. There's a load of suspension bushes you can get for these from people like Powerflex. There's brake upgrades. They're a very tunable car. This car's had a few bits, like the sports exhaust. I'm very, very tempted to add a few more because they really respond well to tuning. But even if you just get a standard one and keep it standard and have fun with it, they're absolutely brilliant. And on this test drive, we're not even using the car's best asset, which of course the fact the roof comes off. So you might be watching this video thinking, do you know what, Paul, I quite fancy one of those. What kind of budget do I need? Well, if you get a baby engine, narrow body, that's not in perfect condition, you could pick one up for literally a couple of grand. This is a 2.8 wide body manual, slightly higher mileage, 114,000, 3,300 quid I gave for this car at auction, as I said at the top of the film. It's got a few little scuffs and scrapes. It's not perfect. I can make it perfect for a few quid. It's not going to cost a lot to do that. But I quite like the usability of this one because it's not concours, and the fact that Mrs. Carlin likes to drive it as well. Doesn't really matter if it gets a scratch. Price-wise then, as I say, couple of grand to get you something, 5-6 grand will get you a really good one, 7 or 8 grand will get you an absolutely exceptional one. And when you look at the Z3M prices, say Roadsters can easily be 18 to 20 for something nice, well into the 20s up to 30 for something exceptionals, and the coupes 40 to 45 for something really nice. You're getting all of the look, or most of the look, let's say 90% of the look, for about 10% of the price, and that's the kind of maths I like. I really like that. So this is 3,300 quid. Park it next to a Z3M Roadster. Not much in it. Park it next to a coupe. I actually prefer the look of this, particularly with the hardtop on. And I've got some change to keep it going. And of course it will cost so much less to keep going. The 2.8 is a great engine. If you can find a 3 litre, they are truly wonderful things. And really quite quick. They have an open diff, unlike the M cars. But if you get yourself a diff, do a little bit of suspension tuning, it could be an absolutely phenomenal sports car for not a huge amount of cash, and they just look so good. So hopefully that's got you inspired and checking the classifieds. Thank you for watching as ever. Please do like, please do share, please do also click the notifications as well, and the hype button, which is on the share button, because it really helps me out. And I shall see you good folks next time. And let me know in the comments if you've had one, what you thought of it, or if not, which of my many old bangers would you like to see me drive next time? And you can hear now as well, potholes, maybe it's downfall. This is a very pothole road. But until then, next time, and thanks again for watching.